to today's podcast, Builder of Choice Insights. I am so excited today. I am joined by Chris Laping. He is going to be our presenter at the Executive Summit this year. He's going to be speaking to us about leadership. We've just gotten done with a great conversation today, so I'm really excited to be able to share some of the things we've talked about and some of the things we'll be talking about at the Executive Summit. So I'm Emma Jane with the Shinn Group, and I would like to see if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm happy to do that. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Laping, and I run an organization called People Before Things, which is named after my book, People Before Things. And I focus on helping people use leadership as a way to grow their business, and have been doing this for 11 years. Prior to this, I was a 4-time CIO. So I worked in Fortune 500 companies and had the great opportunity to be a part of some amazing turnarounds. And I wanted to share those stories in a book and share what we learned about transformation and change during that time. And so, that's who I am. And
excellent.
I'm happy to be here.
One of the things we talked about that is very unique to you as a speaker is your experience in the business world. So I'm really excited to have you part of our group, because I think some of the insights that you've learned as being a leader inside of an organization and understanding the dynamics of not only leading a team, but also generating a profitable business, and the connection that those two things have is phenomenal. And so I'm excited for you to be able to share that at our Executive Summit.
And after our planning session, I am really excited now to be working with everybody.
I think you're going to...
Now that I know a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy our group. They're great people. They all are excited about leadership. They all have a passion for really leading their organization. So I'm excited for this group to come and for you guys to connect. But one thing I want to start off, the first question I want to ask you, it was very interesting what you said today as we were finishing our session. Tell me a little bit about this notion or this idea about choosing leadership every day. And what do you mean by that?
Well, let me back up. In my executive experience, I always had this like intellectual curiosity for all of these amazing people that the companies I worked in would hire to come work on culture and leadership and really helping us execute in the business more effectively. And sometimes that enthusiasm wasn't always shared by my peers, but one of the reasons why I think it wasn't shared equally is because of people's different understanding of what leadership is and how it can help. And I think a lot of times when we had conversations about leadership, it was this like outside force, right? It was like, we got to operate the business. We need to be able to execute on our projects. We need to be able to hit our budget. Oh, and we should learn how to be good leaders. And it was almost like leadership was this optional exercise that was more of a feel good. And I think of leadership differently. What I have seen in my career is that when people are on the same page and know exactly what problems are worth solving and know exactly what the right solution is going forward, and they're all aligned to that, there's power in that. And so I believe that leadership is a choice. It's a tool that we can use to do those things, to create clarity, to get people on the same page. And I believe it's a choice we can make on any given day. I have a lot of regret about the way I showed up in my career. And I'm glad that I never let those bad days define what was possible going forward. And what would happen is I would meet like an amazing leader who would inspire me to get out of my seat. And that would just make me want to be better for my team and to be a better leader. And I have a lot of hope and optimism for people in their businesses and for individuals who commit themselves to this. Pat Lencioni, who wrote 5 Dysfunctions of a Team and wrote a book called The Advantage, he's been a huge influence in my life. My business partnered with his business for 3 years. So I used to say, like, Pat was like my work dad. It was like really great to be mentored by him. But he has this really great concept that he pushes a lot around. Leadership is a responsibility. It's not a reward for all of the hard work you did.
Right.
It's a responsibility. And, if you think of it as a reward, then it means that you got in this seat because now you can get everything done that you want done. And leadership is more of a responsibility. It's more about, what do our people need to have clarity and to overcome confusion so they can feel like they're doing their best work, so they can get out of bed and feel like their work is making a difference. And I think this is the choice we make. Like, how do we see it? Do we see it as responsibility, or we see it as reward?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's amazing, really thinking about the responsibility we have as leaders, because you are the person that kind of leads the environment too. It's not just the project. You're leading the environment. You're creating an environment where people want to come to work, where they want to be a part of it. They see the vision. And one of the things you talked about in your book, so I'm going to tie this to this piece because I thought it was very powerful. But in your book, The People Before Things, you stress tying everything back to why. Why is that so critical for a leader to be able to do that? And I think it ties to your message about clarity as well.
Yeah. I think leadership is about leverage. It's leverage in our business. It's being able to take advantage of talent around us fully. To get people connected to something that's bigger than just an individual. And I believe that leaders shouldn't have to be in every room for their goals and their business to move forward. So I believe a tool that leaders can use to make that happen is clarity. And it's around clarity of purpose and why and outcome, right? It's, why are we doing this work? When we give our teams instructions to do something, but we frame it around, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
The what. What happens is then when we leave the room and they start to try to do that and they get stuck, they stop.
Yeah.
Like, my leader told me that I needed to implement this system, and the system is stuck and it's broken and it's not doing what we thought it was going to do. It literally causes a work stoppage. And leaders are late to the take on that. And they find out when they get a project status report that says that they're red on something. And the leader's thinking, oh, how could this be red? I just looked at this 3 weeks ago and it was green. So I think when we rally people around not the what, not the, here, I want you to implement this software, but the why behind it, right? Like, hey, we're implementing this because we waste time tracking time. And when our contractors are at a build and doing the work, we need to do timekeeping, but we don't want them standing in line to talk to a project manager or a foreman about what their hours are. So we waste time tracking time, and that's the problem we need to solve. Then if I get stuck on the software because it's not working, as a team member, I can go, oh, but I know what we're trying to do here. And then we get a lot more crafty and innovative about getting unstuck. So I think it's just it's just pausing for a beat.
Yeah.
And when we're sharing with somebody, here's something that's important, we've got to follow it with why. And then I always recommend to people, when you're answering the question why, force yourself to actually answer it why now.
Yes. Yep.
So give them the why, but give them the sort of urgency and importance behind it so that they might want to do something with that.
Oh, that's amazing. As you were talking, I was thinking, one of the things we talked about during our conversation was trust. And I feel like when you're talking about the fact that you've given them the why, you've given them the clarity. You're also extending trust to these people because you're bringing them into your world. You're making yourself a little bit vulnerable when you share the why, because when you share the why, it's the ultimate purpose, right? So tell me a little bit about the environment that you're creating with psychological safety, trust, being trusted and being trustworthy in that environment. How does that help as a leader to really bring your team together and collaborate? You know, the other thing, and I'm going to bring a couple things into this, so it's a several part question. In that piece also, what kind of teams do you create? You know, when you're offering those, when you're talking to your team and you're building your teams and you're offering clarity and surrounding the why and the psychological safety, we talked about the different teams that are formed as well. How do all of those pieces kind of come together?
Yeah. Well, yes, I think when we are sharing the why, we're bringing people into our world. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the expression "with them"? What's in it for me?
Yes. Yes.
That's like a change management mantra that people will provide in leadership training. Like, hey, when you're going to lead some kind of change, just make sure you tell everybody what's in it for them. Except that that's a myth. People actually don't function that way. People are not as profit driven and individualistic as we believe. People want to be part of something that's bigger than them. It brings importance and belonging in their life and work. And when a leader can help connect a team to what's in it for us and the greater purpose, what that does is it opens up the engagement and the possibilities for a team member to really grip onto something that gets them excited about getting out of bed. I think in terms of psychological safety and trust, I think one really powerful tactic is when a leader shares, like, here's what's in it for us. Here's the greater purpose that we're all working together. To just simply stop and have the humility to ask a team member, what do you think? Like, what do you think about that? Like, what am I missing? How can we make this better? Can we make this stronger? And then to sit in that and just listen to how a team member is processing it, make their contributions to this something that allows them to attach themselves to that greater purpose, but to feel like they brought something to the equation. And to me, that humility, and I think on the other side, because it's not all rainbows and roses and unicorns, is that when things aren't going well, to have the humility as a leader to not just ask the team, like, what could you do differently? To be able to say to a team, hey, what can I do differently? In 18 years as an executive, but now 11 years in what it is I'm doing, I have never once, not once, experienced a situation where a leader wasn't getting the results that they wanted and that the problem was solely the employee's problem. That a leader could have provided more clarity. A leader could have been more open, that they didn't have all the answers, created a safer environment. There's a mantra that some leaders use that will break this system. And this mantra is when a leader says to his or her employee, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. And first of all, that ignores that psychologically, some people are problem finders and some are problem solvers, and it is rarely in the body of the same person. Now, a leader will say, when I used to bring problems, I would bring a solution with the problem. And it's like, well, yeah, you're a self-actualized leader. You probably got to where you're at in life because you did that so effectively.
Right.
But it really does defy gravity. And what it does is it shuts down employees from telling you there's a problem because they're sitting there like, oh, crap. I don't know how to fix this. And I'm definitely not going to bring this up now because the responsibility of fixing it is solely going to be on me. So these are like little things that leaders can do that get people connected to a greater purpose than themselves, create clarity about the outcomes we're trying to drive, and then creates a really safe environment so that when we're not getting those results, someone can get that to you really quickly. It was embarrassing to me as a leader when I would find out that there was a problem going on for like 3 months and everyone knew about it.
Except for you.
Oh, yeah. And I saw that as a complete reflection of my inability to create a safe environment for people to tell me things. I love, you and I were talking about this earlier, like there's all these different profiling tools out there. And there was this one that I did that I was fairly indifferent to, but I did like the way it classified me. And it classified me as a cheerleader.
Oh, yeah.
And it came back and it said that when someone brings me bad news, I don't take kindly to it. And I actually then displace that disdain for bad news on that person. Talk about like cold water in my face. Like, oh, Chris, you need to show up a lot differently as a leader.
Wow.
Because I knew when I read that, I was like, oh my goodness.
It's time.
That is so me. Like, I love good news.
Yes.
I'm enthusiastic. I'm the greatest cheerleader. But you bring me bad news, and I didn't always know how to process that really well. So
here's a question for you, because I'm sure everybody's asking, okay, I do that same thing. I'm, rainbows and sunshine. I like silver lining. I'm always looking for the silver lining in everything. Processing bad news is not easy, or doing something that's not in my wheelhouse is not easy. But sometimes as a leader, being a leader is not easy.
It is not easy.
So what are some of the things that you did in that moment when that was literally, you put the mirror to your face and you said, oh, I don't like this part of how I'm responding to people.
Yeah.
What kind of reflection did you have, and how did you adjust or make yourself aware that you needed to make adjustments in the future?
Yeah, well, to me, it's always about tool attachment. It is, I'm struggling with something, and I need to know when it's happening. I need to just be good at catching it. And then if I can really get good with the right tool, I can make it through this. And I think about tools as like bumpers on a bowling alley. The bumpers come up. It doesn't guarantee a strike, but it at least keeps the ball in the lane.
Might hit one.
So in this particular case, my tool that I attached to was the 24-hour rule. When you receive bad news, when you receive actually any kind of information, before you react to it, give it 24 hours. There's this notion, we talked about this earlier today. I'm involved in an organization out of the UK called 1 Year No Beer. It's not an abstinence organization, but it just helps people take a break from alcohol. And there's this notion in psychology of surfing the urge. So when someone wants to drink, if you can just get through 10 minutes, generally the urge to drink will then move on. I think about that with the 24-hour rule, because if you only have to wait 10 minutes to like maybe not have another drink of alcohol, 24 hours does a lot for allowing us to process. And, when I think about the changing environment today, how challenged so many businesses are, how many outside forces that we cannot control are impacting our day-to-day work, we have got to show up with calm in the chaos.
Yep, absolutely.
And so if we don't put pressure on ourselves to have the answer when someone immediately gives us bad news, to not react, to go into a thoughtful place for 24 hours and really process, what am I feeling? Okay, what information do I have right now that causes me to think I need to change my plan? What information do I need still? And then to come back 24 hours later and be able to, with a calm spirit, be able to convey to people, okay, here's some processing I've done around this. Here's what I know, and here's what I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then get people to engage in that conversation. For me, that's the tool.
Yeah. Well, and what's really neat about something like that, and one of the things we talked about, is that we're in an environment, and particularly in home building, where I was telling you with our home builder since March 13th of 2020, it's like every 6 months you have to come up with a new plan. And when you finally think everything's running smoothly, oh, there's one more thing. So there's so many things that are uncontrollable, that being able to put something that's uncontrollable in a controllable environment is basically, it sounds like that's what you're doing, is you're like, okay, this is something I can't control. I can't control the bad news, but I can control how I respond to it.
That's right.
And then that, from that aspect, I can control the outcome, because now I can control what information I'm going to pull in, and I can control the direction we're going to go. It may not be the same direction I was going in, but I can control how we respond and the direction we choose to go in based on the information that I was able to gather during that time frame where I took the time and space to think about what the problem was, what is the information I need to gather, and how we're going to respond, and then bring that to the team to make a decision on.
I love that. I love it. It's that saying, and I'm sure I'll butcher it, that, it's not bad things that shape our lives. It's our belief about those bad things that do.
Yeah.
So I think what you're talking about is understanding that we carry so many burdens and responsibilities as owners of our business or as leaders. And so many of those things are forces that are outside of us. And again, like, does not have to be a solo sport. Our teams grow closer to us when we say, I don't know the answer to this. I've never seen that before. Our teams grow closer to us when we say, I need help. Will you help me?
Yes.
Our teams grow closer to us when we say, like, I made a mistake. That was a bad call on my part. And I think we forget, by the way, to tick and tie that. We make a bad call. The business starts to get off the tracks as a result of it. We create a 911 fire drill to get it back on track. And everyone in the room knows that this fire drill was because we set the building on fire. And now we're asking with urgency to put out the building fire that we lit. And so, again, this is a human endeavor. We are human beings with one heart, one mind. And we use that heart and mind at home, and we use it at work, and we don't always get it right. In fact, most of the time we get it wrong. And the people that are really successful are just really great about bouncing when it's wrong.
Exactly. That's a very good point. It's your ability to respond to how things turn out. If you need to make the adjustment. My daughter played soccer at CSU, and one of the things that we tell her is, like, it's not the bad pass. It's how you respond to the bad pass. If you made a bad pass, go get it. Go make a different play. But you can't just stand there in one spot and go, I made a bad pass. The whole game is over. We're going to lose. How are you responding to it and make the adjustments to it and gather your team? Like, okay, hey, I made this bad pass. You're going to go down that way. I'm going to go down this way. We're going to get it turned around. So really focusing on that and bringing your team alongside you to do that. So we kind of covered leading in tough markets. Let's talk a little bit. One of the things that we are very passionate about is profitability. But a lot of times it comes off that profitability, being profitable, profits, money, that's a bad thing. right? Like people think, oh, that's money hungry. But I think there's a lot of organizations that have used profits in a negative way. We believe that in order for an organization to be sustainable over time, they need to get good net profits. And in our belief is 10 to 12% is a good net profit for a home building company. I also believe that having a good team and being a good leader and people are essential for that. And you and I had a conversation about it. I really like your philosophy around profit and people. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people often create a continuum, and on one side of the continuum, it's this like really happy-go-lucky culture that's all focused on people, but probably doesn't get great results. And then there's this like highly profitable, like kind of in-your-face, high-performance culture. And I don't believe that they're on either side of the continuum, that if you were making a decision about being a people-based organization versus a profit-based organization, I believe that that is completely a false choice. The evidence, public domain research is very clear that companies that perform in the top 25 percentile in terms of the way they treat each other and the health of the organization, so this is people and culture, they outperform their peers by 300% on shareholder return. These are hard, concrete numbers. This research was brought forward by McKinsey. They looked at thousands of organizations. They profiled lots of organizations, and they looked at tons of public companies where the data was freely accessible. So it is a false choice that we focus on culture or we focus on profit. When we have great culture, we produce more at less cost with more happy people. And that happier people, that part of it is what creates the sustainability in what we do every day. And, you know, I post on social media every day, and I talk about these topics every day. And generally, there's a hater or two that will drop into the feed and will explain to me how I have it all wrong. And they are clearly punitive people who are making their teams suffer. Like generally my response is, well, first of all, I'm like, I don't know you. So first of all, I hope you're okay. And second of all, like it must be miserable to work for someone like you. And I think you believe your mantra is a good mantra around performance and accountability and results. But performance, accountability, and results generally come from effective cultures, not efficient cultures.
That's a good point.
Efficiency is not what drives sustainability. It does not drive profitability. It produces a lot of rework. So the measurement around efficiency is not good. We say that we got something done faster, but we forget in the equation that it took us 6 times to do something that an effective organization would have been able to do in 1 or 2 times. So what I love about this data point, of course, is that it is something that when I think about my worldview, I hang my hat on this. Like this is quantifiably a better way to run your business. And so I would trumpet the whole effective stuff. And the effective stuff happens when you and I have very human interactions and we're super clear because we've had conversations and we're not in like some autopilot urgency culture thing that's causing our nervous systems to be wrecked and causing us to show up with like our worst self every day.
And that's not to say that there's not going to be times where there's that sense of urgency, but having that be part of the culture is very unhealthy. Really understanding your efficiency and your being effective at your efficient. Being efficient is important, but being efficient at the wrong things is pointless. So being efficient and effective, really understanding what it is that you're supposed to be doing, being systematic, like looking at the whole big picture. How do we create this thing and be efficient at it and effective at it at the same time?
And the urgency side, going back to the why, this is why the why is so important. urgency is not something that's driven because I walk in the room and tell you, Emma, you need to be more urgent today.
Right.
When people know the why and the why now and what's at stake, they actually don't wait for a leader to show up and ask them to take action.
Yeah.
They know to take action. They can see the smoke coming from the building.
And they know to go get a bucket.
That's right. And they did not need a leader to say, the building's on fire and you need to go put that fire out.
Right.
Or, the building's on fire and you need to leave as quick as you need to leave.
Yep.
So I believe that all of this stuff is an ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe urgency is a strong tool for getting things done. I believe that when people operate from a place of they have to, they're trying to get this done under the wire, or they're being told they need to do more with less. I don't believe in those situations that people show up and do their best work. Mm-hmm. And if leadership is leverage,
mm-hmm.
and leadership is about getting our goals moving forward when we're not in the room,
mm-hmm.
then we need to create the environment that people can show up and give their best. Yeah. And they don't operate in their best when they have fear, mm-hmm. or they believe that there's really scarce resources and they have to do more, less, and they do not give them their best selves when they have a gun to their head telling them to move faster.
Right.
Those things do not drive.
And that's biological. I did my my master's in leadership, and they talked a lot about your limbic brain and your frontal cortex. And when you're operating there, you're operating in your limbic brain. And my Taekwondo teacher used to say that's your frog brain.
Yes.
So you're operating in a place where you're not actually thinking. There's no thought in what you're doing.
Yes.
You're just reacting.
And you're reacting, so to build off of that,
mm-hmm.
In my new book, I go through a deep discussion on this topic, actually, and have a good friend who is a neuroscientist that was like, hey, I need you to fact check me on this stuff. But as you're communicating it in our limbic brain, it's like a card file system.
Mm-hmm.
And it stores memories of things that have happened, mostly really bad things,
mm-hmm.
in some cases, good things. So when we're reacting to something that's happening in the business, we think that we're reacting to that situation, and we're not. Mm-hmm. We're reacting to a story we're telling ourselves about that situation. Yeah. Our brain, we go into that card file system, we pull out a card file. Oh, I've seen this before. Companies have gone bankrupt because of this. I was a part of that. I lost my job 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do is we have this knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And our prefrontal cortex, where all of our executive functioning, critical thinking, strategic thinking happens, they found that really only about 5% of everything we do every day is happening in that part of our brain. So people are largely behaving at work as a response to the stories they tell themselves.
Oh.
And those stories are informed by their whole work history,
yeah.
and things they read in the newspapers. And it's kind of an awful place. I am highly emotional. So it's when I operate there, I feel just messy.
Yeah. Yes.
Why am I having this reaction to this?
Well, and as a leader, I feel like you have some responsibility in order to move your organization forward, to pull your team out of that limbic brain into their prefrontal cortex, because that's where real problems get solved.
Yes.
And as a home builder, there's so many different issues that they face on a day-to-day basis, from cycle time to customer issues, to trade partner issues, to billing issue. I mean, there can be a full gamut of issues. Sure. And in order to find solutions ahead of time to solve those problems, you need to bring people outside of that limbic brain into that prefrontal cortex. And I think that's a responsibility of leadership.
And here's a tool that I would recommend related to this. And I think the mantra or the trigger for the leader is this: it's imperative that we lower the temperature on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
When we have conversations with people and we say, well, this is like a do or die moment in the business.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get this right,
mm-hmm.
It's going to be total catastrophe. What we've done is we've raised the stakes on the situation
Mhm.
And again, then people are not operating from their prefrontal cortex.
Mhm.
I think about this even in terms of relationships. There's a book that I love called The Next Conversation. It was written by Jefferson Fisher. He's a trial lawyer out of Texas. This guy started shooting selfie videos in the cab of his truck to basically help him sell his business as a trial attorney. And one day he had a selfie video that was titled "How to Argue Like a Lawyer." And he said he hit submit on it and he went to bed, and most of the stuff that he ever put out there had like 10 likes. And he wakes up the next morning and there's like 2 million likes and like 20 million views. And so what Jefferson Fisher started doing was he was like, look, I'm in the business of high conflict.
Mhm.
And I'm going to use that to teach other people how to talk more and argue less.
Mm.
So he shoots a 76-second selfie video every single day about all kinds of topics,
Uh-huh.
like how to deal with a narcissist,
Uh-huh.
how to deal with someone who's gaslighting you. His book, The Next Conversation, is called that because he says that when you and I are having conflict, the temperature is too high. I'm sitting here going, if Emma and I don't solve this right now, I mean, we are forever going to break up in business. Like, this is never going to work again.
Uh-huh.
And when the temperature is that high, neither one of us are behaving our best.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he talks about in the book, and thus he named the book after, is all I need to do is earn the next conversation.
Yeah.
And if I lower the temperature and know that this is not our last conversation,
Yeah.
it's just one in a series, then you and I show up in a much different place.
Yep.
So that was a bunch of word soup. I know I went off there.
Oh, no.
But I think that is so applicable to this really challenging environment we're operating on
Yeah.
in our businesses, is that we've got to lower the temperature and we've got to just earn the next day.
Yeah.
And what can we do to get to the next day?
Yes.
And to focus on what's most important right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not just what's important. There's always going to be more than
Right.
we can handle. But what's most important right now. And then when we all rally around that, that'll earn us another day, or that'll earn
Yep.
us another week.
And that reminds me of a story. We did a podcast with a woman. Her name is Kim Cobb, and she is a production manager at a home builder in Tennessee. And I asked her a question about how do you have difficult conversations? Because she's a woman working in a full male-dominated industry. And she goes, you know what? I don't have difficult conversations. It's very easy. I bring them to my side of the table and we solve the problem together. So I don't come at them with, we need it. This is a problem. Da, 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 da. She's like, hey, let's look at this together. We have a problem. We have a problem here.
Yeah.
How can we solve this problem? And what can we do moving forward?
I love that.
And so it's very much like what you're saying. It's like, bring the temperature down and maybe bring that person to the other side of the table. And that's true leadership, right? That's like being thoughtful of how can we have these conversations and accomplish the goals that we have at hand.
I think about a boss I had. His name was Steve. And he was a CEO, 6 foot, I think he's probably like 6'5", 6'6", total bald head.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like Mr. Clean. I mean, he looked like Mr. Clean. He really did. And he must have, in his career, received coaching on lowering the temperature. And, I had unfortunate meetings with him from time to time where he was very angry, and I kind of saw the old school Chicago style anger coming out in him. But it was amazing to see him in meetings where bad news was being shared, and he would close his eyes and he would just like lean his head back a little bit, and he would just really breathe. And I remember as a young executive, like watching him and like, I wonder what is going on over there? Like, what is he doing? And to be honest, I was always too nervous to ask him.
Uh-huh.
But I now know from all the executive coaching I do, someone must have coached him on that.
Mm-hmm.
To lower the temperature of the room, you got to lower your temperature.
Yes.
And he actually, the way he did it, he looked like he might be just actually really thinking about what he was hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one tell that it was more than that was his whole bald head would just
turn red.
Totally turn red. So I was like, okay, yeah, he must be upset or mad. But I was always impressed that in the group setting, he did not unleash that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful.
And he did not feel like he had to be the one to communicate this is urgent or this is really broken.
Uh-huh.
He let us work it.
Mm-hmm.
And really controlled himself on, intervening.
Yeah.
So it's funny how in this moment, like all of those dots are starting to connect for me with him.
Oh, wow. One of the things that I'm thinking about while we're talking is, as I was telling you before, we have this concept called the Builder of Choice, and this is the Builder of Choice podcast. And it's about being the builder in your market that everybody wants to work for. And I feel like a lot of the things that we're talking about today help a builder do those things. Mm-hmm. If you have built a team that is focused on the why, that's focused on accomplishing the goals that your company has set forth, that's focused on really working together to solve problems, bringing problems to the table, solving them, understanding where the urgency is before the leader has to come in, it means that people like working there, I would imagine. If people like working in a particular environment, it means that it's probably easier to get trade partners because now you've got clarity in your organization from what you're talking about. You've got clarity because you've been very clear about your messaging, kind of what everybody's roles are. So as they're working with their trade partners, those people can very clearly relate the message and hold those people accountable because there's accountability through all of this as well, which means they're building, like you were saying, you're building a better product. And then that means that the customer is more likely to buy from you because they like the people that they're buying from. They have a very clear message. They know why they are in business, what they're building, who they're building it for. And so I feel like everything that you're saying leads exactly to this concept of builder of choice.
I think it goes, and I think about it from two different perspectives. I think about it from the perspective of running my own small business, my consultancy, my executive coaching. I have clients who spend less with me, who I would take a bullet for. I do better work for them. I ghost a lot of hours and don't bill them for those hours. And Christine, who is not only my life partner, but she's also my business partner, we have these dinner conversations about these clients that I love so much, and I just want them to succeed because they are such good people. And so I know as a provider or a supplier or vendor or whatever someone would categorize me as, I do better work for people that show that appreciation. They get way more out of me. And I do have clients who sometimes pay 2 to 3x what other clients are paying because of the complexity of their problems. And the revenue opportunity for me is great. But they oftentimes don't want me there. They have me there because they're bored, told them I needed to be there. And it's not that I do bare minimum, but I don't think about them as much.
Right.
I also think about this from an employer point of view. When I was a chief transformation officer at Red Robin, what I heard all the time was that the restaurant industry just does not pay corporate team members the way other industries do. And so in particular, IT was a department that rolled up to me. And so to get tech workers was supposed to be impossible because we couldn't pay them. You think about being in Denver here, all the tech companies that are here, everybody paying top dollar. Emma, there was not a day ever where I would interview someone who I just loved and wanted them to join the team that didn't end up joining the team.
Oh, wow.
Because it was about connecting them to something that was bigger than them.
Mm-hmm.
It was, here's the work that we're working on together. It was being very specific with them about their unique capabilities. And I would say, like, Emma, like, I could totally visualize you on the team right now because of these things we've been talking about and your talents. Nobody on my team has that. And this would be a very unique spot for you.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have a hard time getting talent in that situation. So a lot of times this stuff doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
It just costs our intention and showing up with that kindness and respect.
Yes.
You know, there's a saying that actually annoys me that I read about a lot on social media that, you know, well, so-and-so or such and such needs to earn my respect.
Oh,
I think we're mixing up respect and trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to earn someone's trust, or they need, you know, they will earn ours.
Yeah.
But respect is not an earned thing. Respect is something I give you.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, yeah, I think if you are running a home building business and you have all of these people you have to work with to make that happen, you can create, in my mind, you could create an amazing strategic advantage.
Yes.
By just being the person who shows up with kindness and respect and connecting the people that you're working with to a greater purpose that gets them excited about it, so that they might go some hours. They might not be like, you know, counting every little widget that they're selling to you, and that they're willing to do anything it takes for you to succeed.
Yeah. Well, that's your competitive advantage in the marketplace at the end of the day.
Totally.
With how competitive home building is, particularly in some markets where you have a heavy influence of the national home builders, where you cannot compete on price. And we don't recommend competing on price. Compete on what you do best. And if you have the best culture that creates the best product at the best price that your customer is willing to pay for, including your margin, that's when you win.
Totally. Like you can't be everything to everybody.
Correct.
You can be something to somebody. You have pricing power when that somebody hears you speak with great clarity about a problem you solve for them. And, you know, I don't think our value in life is based on this, but our value in the marketplace is attached to the size of the problem that we solve.
Yes.
And you can attach yourself to the value proposition that people need a permanent hotel to live in. And I would imagine that's pretty transactional. It's pretty low margin. It's probably pretty hard to compete because there's a lot of people doing that. But if you are helping home buyers solve some very real and specific problems, and you talk about that directly to them in a way that says, oh, I get this problem. I don't think that home buyers are going to sit around making the choice purely on the cost.
Right. Well, it comes down to something that you said when you were talking about how you recruited people to join your IT team. And you said, I can visualize you as part of my team.
Yes.
And you can almost do that same thing with your customer when you're solving their problem. I can visualize your family sitting here at this fireplace that we're going to, in this home that we're going to build for you, in this community that is just starting to come to fruition, enjoying a holiday. I can see your family in the front yard with these other families enjoying life together. So when you're starting to paint those, and I get goosebumps every time I think about these things, when you're starting to paint those pictures, now price is not the number one issue.
That's right. This is maybe a dumb example. I was one of those people that got tricked into a timeshare.
Oh, we did too.
We go to some place, like if you just hang out with us for 2 hours, you're going to get a 3-day Disney package. And I told my wife, like, There is no way, no how I'm buying anything in there. I am showing up to get my 3-day pass, and I swear to you, no check will be written.
There's always a check written.
And what happens is we went in this room and we didn't talk about timeshares. We didn't talk about the real estate. We didn't look at pictures of the property. What we got attached to was that the greatest memory of a family are going to be family vacations. And that your kids are going to remember these forever. They're not going to remember all the other details, but they're going to remember the vacation. And as a father of 3 kids, I wanted to be
the provider of it,
etched in their memories forever for good reasons. And we bought a timeshare. And in the 10 years that we owned it, I think I went to that place once because it was a total turkey. It was awful. Property wasn't great. It wasn't really close to Disney World at all. It literally was like a scene out of a movie, dirty. And I'm not suggesting that anybody goes out and sells a faulty vision, but that's not what they were selling.
No.
And so because of that, that was the value attachment. And as you said earlier today, that really, really sucked me into the storytelling related to all of this. These are our homes. And we host graduation parties. I have 3 kids, right? So I think about the graduation parties. My daughter, who's my youngest, is going to graduate from college in another year. I think about my parents and like if they need to move in and like this home represents a lot more to people than like some permanent hotel space. And so I think that pricing is the most uncreative way to grow your business because someone is always going to undercut you. That someone along the way earlier in my career when I was a consultant and a CIO at the same time, we had to do sales training. And I was like so negative about it. Like, I'm not a salesperson. I don't need sales training. But I do remember sitting in the room with this gentleman who talked about the art of war. And in the art of war, it talks about a strategy is to go frontal. And if you're going to go frontal against the enemy, you got to be 3 times better than the enemy. So the more effective way for strategy in war is to flank them. And so this conversation we're having is about flanking the big builders who have in some ways pricing power, partially because they have access to supply chain that's different because of their buying power, partially because their quality standards are 10x lower than what your home builders have for themselves. And so price would be a completely uncreative and I think almost stupid way to grow your business when you could flank by having these really human conversations with people, both your partners who help build the homes and the buyers of these homes.
That's awesome. I agree. Okay, we're going to do one last segment.
Okay.
Because you have mentioned you were a CIO, you have some experience in technology.
A little bit.
And our builders have expressed so much interest in trying to incorporate technology into their businesses, particularly AI. So, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but I do want to get your perspective on this. What role should leaders play in adopting technology, and what are some cautionary considerations?
Well, I think let's start with there's no such thing as a tech project. There's no such thing as an IT project. These are business projects that have technology enablement. So I think first and foremost, the leader's role is to make sure there is a really great business case for even doing something with the tech. I was shocked as a CIO, and I am still shocked as a consultant today that a lot of times we treat tech differently and we just spend money because we know that other companies are spending that money, and we're unclear about what we're going to get for that investment. That is bad news on any kind of investment in a business, not just tech. So I would start is the leader's role is to create advocacy around here's what we gain with clarity around doing the tech. And if there isn't clarity, either of the cost of implementing or the value that you'll get when you implement it, then the role of the leader is to get to the bottom of that. And I would say if you still are fuzzy and unclear, that to me is a clear walk away. There is no maybe. There is yes, and there is not yet. And it doesn't have to be a yes-no thing. It's just like right now, we don't know enough about this. We're not sure how this is going to help us. And I would be putting my dollar somewhere else. The second thing is for the people that do that work, it is a done with you business. Let me share with you 3 models. The first model is done for you. I spend a few weeks learning about your business, Emma, and I come back and I say, based on my understanding of your business, this is what you need. Here's a roadmap. I need this check written, and then I go and I get that done. I don't occupy anybody's time in the building. I just implement it, and then I peel back the curtain and ta-da, here you are. Done with you is that I need you in the room with me to give me requirements for the system. I need you to test the system. I need you in some cases to help me put data in the system or at least confirm that the data I moved over is right. It requires your time as much as my time. The last model is done by you, which is I come in here and I say, Emma, listen, you need to implement ChatGPT. And then you have to go and figure out how to make that work and how to get it to work in your business. IT as a function is largely a done with you. If you don't want to tie up your team's time implementing a system, don't implement the system. You are wasting your money when you do that. An IT person is not going to be able to do that all on their own for you. And if that IT person, frankly, was good enough to know your business inside and out and good enough to know the technology inside and out, he or she would not need either one of us. They would be billionaires doing something else for a living. So leaders have to rally a team to work with tech people to get that work done. One thing that I emphasize here is that transformation or tech change is not a side hustle. And if you treat it like a side hustle, you're going to get side hustle results. So let's say you have 10 people total in your company, and you're going to implement a system where all 10 of them are going to use it. Don't ask 10 of them to participate where they're all given part of their time and they're multitasking their way through the day. Just empower 1 or 2 people to make all of the decisions on behalf of the team and to get in the room and work full time with the tech people to make it happen. Just give up whatever their day job is for whatever the 6 to 12 months it takes to get it done. If you can't do those things, I can virtually guarantee you're going to be laying in bed at night going, I am not sure we got value out of that system. And this is the recipe for it. We hire tech people from the outside to come into our organization to give us something new for the future. We put them in a room with 10 part-timers who are multitasking their way through the day. These are the same 10 people that designed the old inefficient way of doing things who are now going to magically provide clarity and direction to the IT person who then builds this thing. And then the executive shows up at the end of the process and is like, what is this piece of crap? This is how that happens.
And that I would say is very common, particularly in this industry where it's, everybody's doing their own thing and they're trying really hard to get so many different things done. And they bring in technology thinking it's going to be the magic bullet. And they haven't even perfected their own systems ahead of time to make sure that they're in place, and then bringing the technology in alongside it.
Yes.
And I think what you're saying is very powerful, making sure that you have somebody from within the organization as the connector between the organization and the technology. I think a lot of times that's what they're missing. They do the task where they have the 10 people in the room multitasking instead of assigning a couple people to be the advocate for the organization to get those things done. That's a very powerful
I think
advice.
Unhealthy, when you put healthy people in an unhealthy system, they become unhealthy. I think of the same thing with technology. If you are trying to put technology on top of broken dysfunction and hoping that it's going to create clarity and alignment, it will not. If people are not working together today, if they're not communicating well, if they're not sharing data with each other, if they're not sharing information, they're not being forthright about that, then buying a system that allows us all to work together in the system is sort of a faulty premise, right?
Yes.
If we couldn't work together before, and we have a system, that's not going to magically change. So instead, I would say work on the unhealthy systems of how people are operating and working together. And then you end up in a really clear place to be able to build something that the business can take full advantage of.
Yeah.
But, like I remember as a first-time home buyer many years ago, going into one of those design centers and having all the design choices and me canceling out of it and being like, I'm overwhelmed. And then I got what I got. And I was like sorely disappointed. That is the exact process of tech. You sit in the design center with a tech person, tell me what you want. You tap out because you're like, how many different decisions do we need to make?
Yes.
And you get crap on the other side.
Wow.
Certifiable, gold-plated
crap. Yep. The fun part about technology.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on our time together. So you said you liked my closing questions.
Yeah, I do like those.
My quick hits. So real quickly, what is the one thing leaders should stop doing in a tough market?
Stop the urgency culture, high temperature, chaos way of doing things. Just reclaim yourself, which is the start doing, which was the second question. Reclaim yourself. Pause a beat. Start every day with a notebook and a pen. Do not do it on a computer and write down, this is what I need to get out of this day.
Yeah. This is coming from the tech person, the CIO. Pen and paper.
Yeah, totally.
Pen and paper.
There is scientific research that says that the chemistry of it changes for us when we write it down. But to show up for the day with intention, this is what I want to get out of my day. And to show that to our teams. Yeah. That the calm in the chaos, the someone who's not reacting. Yep. And someone who actually cares enough to have a conversation with someone and say, what do you think? Right. That's like a 10-minute activity in the morning. That's awesome. Okay. So the last question, what is a question every leader should ask of their team right now? What is one thing that has prevented you in the last 3 months from doing your best work? And don't do that in a survey. No engagement survey, no survey. Just sit down and have a conversation. What is the one thing? And make sure you ask it just like that. What is the one? Because if you don't have them prioritize, you might get too many things. Yeah. But it'll cause them to pause a beat. What is one thing in the last 3 months that has prevented you from doing your best work? And then do something about that. Yes. Don't just sit on the answer. Like actually activate on it and tell that person, I thought about what you said and I want to do something about it. And here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Chris,
I have enjoyed my day with you today.
Likewise.
What a great way to spend my
Likewise.
day. I am so looking forward to having you part of our executive summit this year. I think everybody's going to really enjoy their time with you, and there's so much more to learn. And so I hope that you're looking forward to it, because I'm looking forward to it. And I hope all of you are looking forward to coming to Breckenridge in March to see Chris and learn all about his philosophy on leadership and how you can build your best team and make a difference in your organization. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to seeing you in March.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching or listening. Give us a like and leave a comment. And if you thought of somebody, be sure to send them a link so they can listen too. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback. Is there a specific topic or special guest that you want to hear about? Let us know. Did you like what you heard? Then I've got great news for you. You can listen to this episode along with many more at Builder of Choice Insights, where I talk with industry experts on crucial concepts that help builders become the builder of choice. If you don't want to miss this next episode, then be sure to turn on your notifications, hit that like button, and subscribe.